Tanya, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to the
Thank
Personal
you. Thank you.
PR.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for joining us. What a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us. And as we can all see, Chris Rich is here as well, is in the house as well. And hi, Chris Rich.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi.
So I'm going to spotlight Tanya and also spotlight myself. Chris Rich will spotlight you later when you ask questions, of course, because you always ask questions toward the end. Okay, cool. Yes, Tanya, here we are. So welcome to the Personal PR Show. And yeah, should we start with a little introduction? Would you like to introduce yourself maybe?
Sure. My name is Tanya Lopez. I'm excited to be here. I'm calling from Bali, where I live. And I am an event strategist and experience designer, and I support entrepreneurs, coaches to design, deliver epic experiences and events that help grow their brands, community, and business.
Wow, I love all of this. And what resonates with our spectators most, I think, is create epic experiences to grow your brand, right? Because this group is also about personal branding. Yes, wow. Before we get into that, Tanya, would you like to tell us your story? Because you have such a cool story. Oh my God, the beginning of your career.
Yeah, it's always a little challenging for me to kind of, condense this and boil this down, but I'll do my best. So similar to you, I started out in PR and communications, and I worked for almost 10 years in corporate America for very big companies. First, I started in a boutique PR agency, then big companies like Nike, NBC Universal, where I was handling their corporate communications. And then at one point I started, actually, I'll leave that part out. But basically I was working in PR and communications for the first 10 years or so of my career. At some point I started my own business around PR, social media consulting. Like this was actually when social media was just starting. When brands were just starting to use social media for branding, which is kind of crazy. That ages me a little bit. But yeah, so I started something around that. And that was a very, very interesting lesson for me in terms of, I got a lot of lessons out of that in terms of starting a business, how to grow and scale slowly, deliberately, with intention. I got a little bit burnt out of that because I took on I grew very, very quickly, in a short amount of time. And then as I was starting to feel like, ooh, something about this is not feeling great, I actually, by some really random stroke of luck and destiny, ended up winning a contest for the world's most awesome job, which was working for Mindvalley, which maybe some people in this community are familiar with. It's one of the biggest personal growth and development companies around. And they hired me to be their head of events, basically focusing on their signature event called A-Fest, which is a gathering of, well, the first year I did it was about 250 people, entrepreneurs interested in personal growth that are really impact, heart-centered entrepreneurs and want to bring in principles of personal growth into their businesses, into their lives. So I started doing that. I traveled all around the world for 6 years, organizing that event as head of events for Mindvalley. Part of what I did while I was there was really focus on building this community, this global tight-knit tribe and community, growing and scaling the event. So scaling to different parts of the world, to Europe, to Asia. It was mostly US centric, scaled one single event up to 1 million in revenue, got a really good idea of what works within the personal growth space. And yeah, had an amazing trajectory there. And after 6 years, left to do my own thing for a while, which turned into a bit of a sabbatical, which was amazing. I came to Bali and had my own sort of eat, pray, love experience to really tune into what I wanted to create next in my life. And I ended up starting a live events production company, basically. And I was working on that, getting that off the ground when COVID hit. so COVID hit and I basically lost, I was working on some incredibly exciting projects. And COVID hit and I basically lost all of my clients, income, projects from one week to the next. And at that point, I basically pivoted my business and I transitioned to go from full event production, execution, to more strategy, advising, consulting, working primarily online and moving away from the actual physical events and traveling. I mean, everyone pretty much moved away from that at the time of COVID. And that's what I've been doing for the past few years. So for the past few years, I've been consulting, like I mentioned at the beginning, consulting incredible brands, entrepreneurs, really of all shapes and sizes, because I have everything from like yoga instructors that are organizing global retreats to 8-figure brands as clients. It's like a whole range. And I really love that, that range and that diversity. That went so well, me pivoting my experience, my 15 years plus of experience into an online coaching consulting offer that I started to support people in that as well. People that had dreams of packaging up their own knowledge, skills, expertise into basically a way for people to be able to work with them. So that's a little bit about my story. I think I covered the main points and I think I was relatively quick about it.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for this overview that you gave us on your career. And I have to add that I had the privilege to be one of the people that worked with you. At the beginning of this year, and we worked one-on-one for 3 months and on my business, and it was amazing. I learned so much from you, and I look forward to continue working with you. Like my next goal is to work with you on my events. Why? Because I would like to incorporate events and experiences in my business as well. I'm just getting started now. I started my mastermind 2 days ago, so there's a lot of things that are happening at the moment. So I don't have time, to start with events right now, but next year definitely. And 2 weeks ago, this is something that I shared with this group as well. 2 weeks ago, I was in Italy on Lake Como, which is my hometown, and I met up with Annie, who you introduced me to because she's a client of yours as well. She used to work with you at Mindvalley too. She's still at Mindvalley actually as head of the community, global community, right? And she's amazing. So thank you so much for this connection. And she was hosting a little retreat, actually not that little because there were 20 people in a villa on Lake Como. So we were there. And I loved the retreat. Yes, well, I was there for 1 day because actually I didn't sleep in the villa because I slept at my mom's because it was like 2 kilometers from there. But I spent the whole day with Annie and these Mindvalley tribe as well. Like they are people who attended AFES, for example, or Mindvalley University as well. So we were very like-minded. And I have to say that when I got home, I told my mom, oh my God, I knew already that I want to do, events, but I think I'd rather do them sooner than later. So I won't wait for summer 2023, but I will do that earlier. And one of my dreams would be to do it on Lake Como because I'm from there and I know so many villas, that could host, these little crowd. But then of course, to Bali as well to do maybe a longer retreat, not just like a 3-day experience, but a little bit longer, probably a week or so, like my own retreats, I don't know, with personal PR, thought leadership and so on. And to prepare these events, then certainly I will reach out to you. I would love to work with you on this kind of experience.
Thank you so much for those beautiful words about working together. I've also loved it. The pleasure, privilege, honor is all mine. And I'm so glad to hear you say that. And I would absolutely love to continue working with you on designing incredible events in Lake Como and Bali and everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, multiple times a year. So we're constantly on holiday. We work from the holidays, right? Yeah, this is amazing. And and maybe, going to, let's say, the angle of our group, which is personal PR, maybe we can talk about how events are relative for personal PR. And I think that the angle that we chose for this particular conversation is personal branding. So how events are important to build, to elevate your personal brand. But, we can talk about that first. But then if you want to bring a little bit of PR into this and thought leadership, which is one of my points of focus, if you want to bring it in, I don't know, media relations a little bit as well, and super connecting. So these are let's say the 4 pillars of of personal PR, feel free, because I know that you are an expert in every single one of these topics, right? Personal branding, right? Yes, thought leadership as well. And PR, I mean, you worked in PR for 10 years, the first 10 years of your career. You're a super connector as well with everything that you did in the world, with all of these events and so on. So feel free to, you know, take any angle that you wish to have beyond personal branding. Yes. How do would you like to kick off the conversation? Should we maybe say first why, how we can elevate our brand, our personal brand, maybe with events, experiences, online, offline?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I think that, I mean, there's so many areas that we could explore, but I'll speak to the first things that come to mind. So I feel that events are such a powerful vehicle for connection, right? For connection. And that I just feel like I know things are moving to, you know, the metaverse and, you know, who knows where things are going to go. But I sincerely feel in my heart that there's just still no substitute for face-to-face human connection, face-to-face human interaction. I think that what is possible in a space of bringing people together physically, leading them. I hear a super echo. Do you hear that as well? Okay, now it seems better.
Is it? Okay, good.
Sorry, yeah, now it seems better. That was weird. I heard a very big echo. Yeah, I've just seen such incredible, beautiful transformation come out of bringing people together in a physical space. And my sort of area, my passion, my zone of genius is transformational events, not just like events of any kind, but events that are really designed to take people through a journey, to take people through an experience, to take people through a transformation of some kind. And yes, that transformation is possible online and through coaching and different, you know, ways, but what is possible through events, I think, is really incredible. And I will say that I've kind of zoomed out a bit. I used to, I like to think of myself more of an experience designer than an event designer or an event organizer, because for me, that's really the intention at which to go things, is creating an experience. And that experience can take shape in many, many different ways. So it can be a live event, it can be a workshop, it could be a summit, it could be a micro festival, a retreat, but it could also be an online experience. It could be a mastermind, it could be a coaching container, right? Like for me, what's really important is that intention of what is the experience that I want to take people through. And when there's intention and love put into that, I think that anything is possible. I also think that events, workshops, retreats are such a powerful way to give people a taste of you, of what you offer, of your work, of the transformation that you're able to give. And it opens the door for people to want to work with you on a deeper level, right? So this is a recommendation I give to anybody that's organizing events of any kind, is always offer that next step, right? Like, how can they continue to work with you in an even deeper way? And for entrepreneurs, coaches, brands, you know, people in this group, that's really important, right? Because you're creating a space of transformation, of an experience of connection, human connection in the sense of, I feel that people are really looking for a connection in a few different ways. One is a deeper connection to themselves. One is a deeper connection to something greater, and another is a deeper connection to others, to the people around them. So when we can help facilitate that for them, magic can happen, right? And then there's usually a desire, you know, at least for the right people, there's a desire to go deeper into that experience, right? So I think this is one of the really, really powerful things about events, experiences from a branding perspective, is it gives you that opportunity and that taste for them to understand you and your work. It gives the opportunity to create that connection. One of the things that I think Mindvalley does so brilliantly, and A-Fest, is that the event ends up being the vehicle of connection. It's like the connection point for all of the attendees, right? And so when you, as a as a person, as a brand, as an event, can become that connection point for other people of deep, meaningful connection, that's just priceless. You know, that is something that builds loyalty, that builds love, that builds camaraderie, and that keeps people coming back to you and to your work and to the experiences that you offer. Those are a few things that come off the top of my head in terms of why events and experiences can be so powerful.
Yes, definitely. Wow. Thank you so much. This is all about connection. You're totally right. Oh my God, this is amazing. And in terms of thought leadership for a second, shall we take the thought leadership angle for a second? Do you think that, I mean, I think the answer is yes, but do you think that, you know, creating experiences and epic experiences online, offline is important for thought leaders as well? So we're all personal brands, of course, and some of us, or most of us actually, should be thought leaders as well, I think. Do you think that is relevant too? And how is it relevant? Are events also, let's say, a vehicle, not only for connections, certainly, but also maybe to kind of get our thought leadership across as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm an event designer, so I think events are great for anyone and everyone. Can you hear me? You froze for a second. Yeah, I think events are really great for everyone. You know, like when you can actually get in a room with someone, again, you have that face-to-face connection. You have the opportunity to share your gift, share your magic in a way where, you know, in a physical space with other people. I find that to be incredibly powerful, and it just builds trust, it builds closeness, it builds connection. So yeah, absolutely. I personally feel that events, whether online or offline, could just be a cornerstone of any business for a brand, an entrepreneur, because they are so powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what I see, because you've been talking about this connection, which I love. And I think one of the angles, especially relevant for thought leadership, is that if you are delivering maybe your thought leadership during an event, it could be online, offline, but a really well-made event, like following your teachings, of course, then I think we are able to connect with our audience, not only on a rational level, because when we do thought leadership, a lot of time it's brainy stuff, intellectual stuff, but maybe if we deliver it in a design, in an event, that experience that is designed the right way, online or offline, then we can really bring this connection, deep connection element as well, like you have just mentioned. And this is a way for people maybe to kind of internalize, let's say, the teachings of thought leadership better, maybe. So it's, of course, it's about community and so on, but then maybe it's conducive also to learning, probably, because we have this emotional connection. Well,
yeah, absolutely. I like to, when I'm working with clients around their agenda and their content and the way that they're approaching events, I always give the recommendation to think of it, you want to appeal to the head, the heart, and the hands. And what often happens is that we get very much in the head. It's about knowledge, information, sharing, you know, skills and trainings, and that's great and it's powerful. But let's not forget about the heart, right? Let's not forget about that connection, connecting them to themselves, having them have insights about themselves, connecting them to the other one, to other attendees, so that they can better like integrate their experience, and also giving them a voice. And this is what I mean by the hands, is like to have them actually do something, have it be experiential, have it be participatory, have it be engaging. For me, this idea of you know, a speaker on stage just speaking at people, I think that's very outdated, and there's a new way to approach it where it is experiential and it's participatory. So that's also like, involve them, right? Don't just speak at people, but actually have them, give them an experience, right? And so that's why I really love this head, heart, and hands, because it's like, okay, are you appealing to all of this, or are you just in a place where it's only like information, and you leave at the end of the day and it's just like your mind is exploding and you can't even retain all of that information anymore because it's just too much, right? And to that point, there's also an art between like how much content there is and how much spaciousness there is. Because what I often see people do is, they're really excited for the event and they want to provide as much value as possible. And so they think if they just put in like as many things as possible, as much content as possible, then that's the best. But the thing is that can backfire because people then can get a little overwhelmed, right? Like there also needs to be a time for integration, for reflection, for, downtime, for rest. So that's another tip I like to give as well, is like to give a bit of a balance between that spaciousness and, the content.
Yeah, wow, I love this. And if we take the, let's say the super connecting route, events are a great opportunity also for high-level networking, right? Especially in certain circles, for example, with Mindvalley circles, but also I've attended your events, your online events as well. Oh my God, any, of course, but then other people that I met, I wouldn't have met them, like certainly not on the street, but not even on Instagram through hashtag research and so on. So that was really a space for super high-level networking. So how can we facilitate that? How can we really facilitate that, real connection, like connections and let's say, what do I want to say? Yeah, maybe lots of connections. We don't need to connect to everybody, of course, but maybe we want to connect to more than one person within an event, and we want to have meaningful connections as well, promising connections as well. How can we is that a way maybe to facilitate these interactions between people?
Yes. So I think there's two things. There's one that is us as entrepreneurs or thought leaders attending an event, right? And like, how do we connect with other incredible people, right? And then I think that's one part. And then the second part is also like, as someone who's organizing events, how do we get others to connect? Is that right? Like those two areas? Yeah. So for the first one,
thank you for unpacking it.
Sorry?
Thank you for unpacking it. Thank you for unpacking this. Thank you. I was a bit confused, but yes, thank you so much.
No worries. So for the first one, I'm all about intention. Like for me, everything starts with the intention, right? Like if you're organizing an event, what is the intention? Why are you doing it? What is the experience that you want to create? What do you want people to walk away with? That's always where I start any event. But even when it's attending an event, it's being really intentional with like, what do I want to get out of attending this event? Who are the people that I would love to meet? Is there a list of attendees that I can kind of already scan and see and be like, oh, like that's a person I would really love to meet. This is a person I would really love to meet. And then taking the initiative to actually do that, right? And I would say also like going to the space with an open heart and an open mind. Like, yes, you have these people that you would love to connect with. And at the same time, don't be so, like narrow in vision that you're making a beeline for those people and you're not seeing all the other incredible people around, right? Like be open to the idea that any person that you meet or you have a conversation with could be someone really, really incredible that has, magic and gifts and learnings and incredible things to share with you. That would probably be my recommendation for the first part of how to make the most out of like networking at events. And also just being really clear in terms of how you introduce yourself. I mean, this is a very like tactical, practical thing, but how you introduce yourself and like very concisely, like, this is what I do, this is who I help, right? And clarity of your messaging, I think, is very important for like a networking event like that. That's what I would say for the first part. I'll pause there before I move into the second one and see like, yeah, do you have any thoughts or insights, or did I cover your question?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Thank you. That was such a good answer. And you gave us so many ideas. I loved the introduction that we want to give of ourselves, of course, like little elevator pitch, so to say, but like a casual, like a soft one, not like a super pushy one, of course. And number one, and number two, then the guest list, consult the guest list, study the guest list, get ready. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I love that. Absolutely. And this probably leads also to the practice of maybe creating a guest list for some of our events and to give it to our attendees in advance. Or is it a thing that you have ever done?
Yeah, this is one of my recommendations when it comes to so again, going back to that idea of intention, what I have found uh events to be incredibly powerful for, even when we would survey A-festers, we had some people that were returning 6, 7 times to A-fest. We were like, wow, what is it that keeps you coming back? And
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't the gorgeous exotic destinations or the 5-star hotels. It wasn't even the speakers or the content. What everybody cited for their number one reason of coming back was tribe and community. They had found like their best friends at the event. And I think that this is such a huge insight for entrepreneurs, brands, people in this group, of like, to really put the intention on that, on connection, on creating tribe and community. Because when you have the intention to do that, you know, then you give that energy, you give it focus. So I recommend looking at it through that lens of like, okay, how can I connect my people? How can I facilitate deep connection amongst them? We could have a whole call just around this, but one of the ways is to connect them even before the event starts, so that when they arrive, there's already like a few familiar faces. They can already think like, oh, I know that person, right? Like, how amazing is it for you to like go to the retreat and you already know Annie, for example, right? It like changes your experience. And so this can be done very simply with like, you know, depending on the size of the event, right? It might be a WhatsApp group. If it's a retreat, for example, like I've done retreats where I create a WhatsApp group like a week before. I have people say hello, make video introductions, you know, things like that. It might be a Facebook group, but you know, depending on the profile of your event, you could find like, what is the right way that I can connect people even before the event and really make them feel welcome, so that they feel like they're arriving already knowing a few people. So yeah, that would be one of my recommendations, and giving them a way to connect with each other. Usually this is already possible, right? Like if they're in a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group, they can already connect with each other. But I have actually seen a few like apps or something like that shows the attendees, but you actually can't like message each other. So I do recommend doing something where people can actually, you know, connect with each other.
So cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a recommendation that I have. And other things like having an opening ceremony, or even if it's again, it all depends on the profile of your event, right? But even if it's a smaller group call, it could be some sort of opening moment, right? Where you welcome everybody, where you ask everyone to share their intentions, for example, like some sort of moment that really intentionally connects people. Can go a really far way.
Yeah. Wow, this is amazing. And thank you so much for sharing. So may I ask you this question? What do you think are the 3 secrets, or not the 3 secrets, because of course there are many more, but 3 secrets that you feel like sharing with us to run an epic event or an epic experience? That could be online, offline, you choose, or both, or in general.
Yeah. Speaking really, really broadly, I can give the example of the 3 pillars that I work with. Like one of my programs is called Epic Experiences. And the 3 pillars that I work with my clients around are 1, profitability, 2, the attendee experience, and 3, marketing and sales. So when you can, and I know these are very, very broad and very high level, and I'll go a little bit deeper, but it's really important to look at these 3 areas. Like number 1, profitability, right? Like a lot of people say that events can't be profitable, which is not true. Like here's someone that scaled a single event to $1 million. I know events that, you know, are online and they do $1 million in sales on an online event. So it's like, events can be profitable. I would definitely look at like your thinking around it if you think that events can't be profitable. And yeah, we do events because we love it. A lot of people really look at it as like a passionate thing, but it's not like the lucrative part of their business. And it depends on your business model and your strategy, right? Because for some people, for example, I know someone that has an extremely successful coaching business. Her retreats don't really make money, but she develops such a stronger bond with her clients that then they enroll and they want to keep working with her and they sign up to work for another 6 months or a year with her, right? So definitely you want your event to be profitable. And there's different things to look at, your pricing strategy, your business model, these kinds of things. But that would be the first area that I really recommend to keep an eye on. The second one is the attendee experience. So oftentimes people put a lot of emphasis into marketing an event, right? They're very worried about marketing and selling out the event, but they don't spend so much time on like, okay, now you sold the event, but what's going to happen? Are you going to deliver on all the hype, right? All the marketing hype of like selling out an event. Now the event is here and you want to deliver. What I want to do is I want to over deliver. This is a strategy I give to people when they're first starting out, is like, don't go too crazy, start small, be modest with your profits, with your profit margins, and just over deliver, really over deliver, give an incredible experience, and people will just want to come back for more and it will grow organically, right? So within the attendee experience, a few of them I've already mentioned. So like this idea of appealing to the head, the heart, and hands, connecting people, really having an emphasis on connecting, on creating connection. Like the attendee experience is something that I really, really loved. Like that for me is the favorite part. One of my favorite parts of work is like when I organize an event and people walk in and their mouth just like hangs open. That's when I feel like, okay, I did my job, right? And it's the amount of detail, the amount of thoughtfulness that goes through, like really thinking through it. And I guess a tip I would give around this is to take off the hat of the organizer, of the brand, of the leader, and put on the hat of the attendee. And put yourself in their shoes from the moment that they arrive until the moment they leave. And like, what is that journey? What is that experience? Put yourself in their shoes and really think of all the different touch points that exist and how can I dial up and like put a little bit of magic into these touch points, right? Whether that's the moment that they arrive and they're greeted, or the moment of registration, or that, opening ceremony, like I mentioned, or the closing moment. That's also like quite impactful. That would be all around that second pillar of the attendee experience. And this can be very, very fun to play with. Yes. Do you have a question?
Third pillar. Yes, please, because before you get to the third pillar, may I say something? So I recently attended a masterclass of yours, which was an experience in itself. And you call these experiences activations, which is a term that I love. It was all around epic experiences. And while you were talking about the second pillar, which you've just talked about now, you also mentioned something that it's a little secret of yours. I don't know if we should share it, but I just say the word and then if you want to share it or not. The random thing. The random.
Oh yeah,
like in the
of course.
Journey. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. This is something that I love. That really stuck with me. Yeah. Maybe.
Do you want me to share that?
So basically, yes, please. Or would you like to share? Because of course you can articulate it better than me. Of course, because you are the creator.
Do you want to go ahead? I would love to see you give it a shot, and I can jump in and chime in.
Okay, great. So what I remember is that we're talking about the customer journey, so the experience journey and so on, customer experience, whatever we want to call it. Then, of course, we have different touch points and we have to, of course, be thoughtful and creative in every single one of the touch points. And of course, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the attendee, right? Everything that you have said right now. And regarding this, I remember that you also said, okay, so every now and then in some of the touch points, not all of them, and maybe in between touch points as well, we incorporate a surprise, something that is completely random. And I remember that one of the things that you had designed was that when people went to the toilet, it was an event, like it was, I don't know if it was a conference or like maybe an opening event, I don't know, maybe a party it was. And whenever they went to the toilet, women went to the toilet, for example, you had an entertainer in the toilet. This was something that was totally a surprise, totally random as well, right? But this is one of the things that were most memorable to the attendees, right? I love this. Is there anything, have I expressed it correctly?
I think you said it beautifully. Yeah. Yes, you said it so well. I'll just add on to it a little bit. it was around this idea of the touch points, and there's very obvious touch points, like the ones that I mentioned, right? Like the opening, the closing, registration. And where you can start to get really creative is the ones that aren't so obvious, right? So this was the example that I gave. It was actually the closing party for A-Fest in Ibiza at this really cool venue where there was a performer in the background, in the bathroom. And she was like, you know, doing some stuff and like dancing in the mirror with like a big boa and putting on her lipstick, and women would come in and she would like doll them up and sing and just like give them an experience in the bathroom. And I love to call this like creating what the fuck moments. Like you have these moments where it's just like, what just happened? You know, like, because for me, that's like, what I most love is creating this sense of like wonder and awe, and like really transporting people to another place. Events have the incredible ability to do that, and you can design them in that way. And so when you can create these moments of wonder, of surprise, of awe, I find that those are really, really deeply impactful on people, and they're super, super fun to create. So yeah, I love that. I love that stood out for you.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. It was not the only thing, because I always learn so much from you, but this is something that, yes, that was really something curious for me. And so sorry, before we get to the third pillar, may I ask you something? Is it possible to incorporate these, let's say, WTF moments, experiences, in, let's say, also smaller events? Because, for example, you gave an example of A-Fest, right? This huge closing party and so on, and you had this experience in the bathroom. But is it possible to create these WTF moments in smaller events, or even maybe in an online events?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I think I gave the example at one point where it was like, actually, like my client, a few weeks ago, a client of mine just completed a retreat in the Maldives. And I left her a message and I said, you know what, like, I don't know if you realize, but you are like living the dream. You just finished a retreat in the Maldives. Like, you delivered this experience that like everyone is just so impacted by. And I just want to celebrate you. And I want you to like take yourself out to a beautiful restaurant, get dressed up, dinner, drinks on me. Like, just send me a photo of the bill. Like, I want to treat you. I want to celebrate you. You're so amazing. Right. And like, this was just this little thing that occurred to me. And she was so surprised. She was like, really? And I said, yes, like this will be also an amazing way of like a practice in receiving, because I know that, you know, that was a little hard for her to like receive that. So yeah, like you can do stuff like that. Or I remember I gave a client the idea of like, you know, maybe popping a bottle of champagne, of like, you know, if somebody signs on for your program, like your online program, like celebrate, like popping a bottle of champagne and sending a video and being like, I'm here celebrating you. I'm so excited. Right. Like, this was just a random idea, but that's something unexpected, right? It's unexpected. It's going to make the other person feel amazing. So I think that we can get really, really creative and think outside of the box of what we're doing, and get out of sort of like the standard way of doing things. So yeah, I think it's absolutely possible in an event of any size and an experience of any size to get creative in delivering this element of wonder and awe and surprise.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Thank you so much for expanding on this. This is one of my favorite topics. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting you.
Thanks. Now we are
on to, now we're on to pillar number 3, right? Sales and marketing.
So the third pillar is marketing and sales. And this is one of the areas that I see, you know, people struggle the most with when it comes to their events, is everybody wants to sell out their event, right? And they want to sell it out with as much lead time and with as much ease as possible. So really making sure that you're very strategic in terms of like, what are your marketing strategies? How are you applying it? Are they a match for you, for your personality, for the profile of your event? There's like really an art to finding the right strategies. Like, for some people it's ads, for some people it's personal outreach, for some people it's social media, for some people it's masterclasses. There's so many like different areas that you can use. So it's coming up with the right formula for your event and your personality and what you actually enjoy doing. And the other big tip that I would have around this third pillar of marketing and sales is to really elevate your messaging. So we spoke about this a little bit earlier. This is also one of the struggles that I see clients or entrepreneurs make when it comes to their events is not having very compelling messaging, not speaking very, very clearly who exactly is this event for, what are the results and benefits that they'll get out of it, why should they attend. They tend to speak a little bit more sometimes around about features, like the retreat is happening in this place, in this sort of villa with this many rooms, and there's a yoga pavilion, and there's this and that. But they're not really speaking to like the feeling, the essence, like what are people going to get? What are people going to experience? Why should they care about this? So that's something I work with clients really closely on is getting crystal clear on their messaging, getting really clear on who exactly is this event for, and how does it really benefit them, and speaking to that quite clearly. So these are my 3 pillars. And if you, I think there were quite a few tips in there. And if you really look at it from each one of these angles and lenses, then that's a recipe for success, I would say.
Oh my God, yeah. So let's all start with these pieces of advice, with these 3 pillars, and then Tanya, and then of course we will come and work with you, of course, to deliver even more epic experiences, like to get like even to the next level. That's so cool. And Tanya, before we open up the floor to questions from Chris Rich and maybe from Facebook as well, I will check if you have any questions. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
I can't think of anything right now.
Right now. Maybe later, maybe after.
I have some amazing questions. I'd be curious to know, if Chris or anyone else has any questions. I'm super happy to answer.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yep, I have already a question.
Awesome. Chris Rich, let me spotlight you. Okay, welcome to the spotlight.
So I'm impressed about your skills you have, and I fully can understand that events make sense. Events can build up a community. And I just know that people are very different, and some people have strengths like you have, and I have completely different strengths. And when I think of organizing an event and really putting in everything what is required that this can be a success, I just have too many gaps. So I cannot do that alone. And here I just start with, I have great ideas. I think with my market research from personality analysis, by in the end identifying 2 and then combine these 2 and create a combination concept, 9 level 3s. I think this is amazing. The question is just, how do I reach people that they get excited about that, and this can grow and people get these insights and diversified understanding of how you can see the world and how you can develop. But without an appropriate support, that will probably not be feasible. It's just for my own development. I learned a lot, but I cannot really properly share. And here my question is, the support I need to organize or buy or add to my skills, how would that exactly look? Do you just coach people that they do it themselves, or can I just tell you, this is what I have, here I have the gaps, what can you do? Can you organize additional people who fill all these gaps, that in the end an entire team is taking care of this success that might come? How exactly can you offer something that would fit my needs at this step with all these gaps that need to be filled?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for that question, Chris. And I think that this is quite a common question in terms of like entrepreneurs and brands that are quite busy. They're running a business, and the idea of taking their eyes off of their primary, business and to get into the weeds of like organizing events feels like a lot. What I recommend is you do need support, right? And you have your primary business, which is something other than events. And what I always recommend and like to do is like that everybody stays in their zone of genius. So you have your zone of genius. Organizing events is probably not one for now. If you genuinely have like an interest and passion and desire and space and resources, and you want to do that, I think that you can. But also what I recommend, the way that I recommend to approach it is, yes, you want to bring someone on board that can help with the execution, like an event coordinator. What size event, like just very quickly, what size event would you like to organize? Is it a retreat? Is it like a very large scale thing?
When I would just have an event with 10 people, that would already be a great step. So it doesn't have to be 100. It could be an event with 10 people, something like Jessica is doing on a regular basis.
Yeah.
When I would already achieve this, that would be something.
Amazing. So 10 people, I would almost recommend you to do an event of that size yourself. It's not going to be perfect, but it's okay. And you're going to learn so much, because the thing is that it's like hiring anyone, right? You don't want to hire someone that is doing something that you don't have a certain level of like understanding in, because you don't know if they're doing a good job or not, right? So what I recommend is the way I work with entrepreneurs like yourself is I work with them to come up with the overall vision. Like, what is the business model? What is the strategy? How does this support your business? What is the attendee experience that you want to create? You create that strategy, that vision, and then you can hire someone to execute against that strategy. But you don't want to hire someone and have them create the strategy, because they're not you, right? They don't understand your business in the way that you do. But you also don't want to you also don't want to do everything yourself. So that for me is a really great way where you would come up with the strategy, the overall vision with someone like myself, or on your own if you wanted to. And then you get someone that can support in terms of like the logistics and the organization and sort of like all the detail work, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but first work out the strategy. This is something you might be a valuable support, that I just get clarity on what exactly do I want to do, what do I want to achieve, and how is the basic structure of this entire process before I hire someone.
Absolutely. That is what I would absolutely recommend, and that I think would really set you up for success, because then you have this incredible strategy, right? And you have someone that has a certain level of experience, that's going to structure it in a way that not only delivers an amazing experience, but is also profitable, makes financial sense, supports other areas of your business. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Okay, thank you so much. But I read just before that there are other questions. So thank you so much for answering this question.
Thanks, Chris.
Let's focus now on the other questions.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Okay, Tanya, so we have 2 questions now, actually 3. Let me check. Yes, so we have 3 questions from Caitlin. Caitlin is in San Francisco. It's 1:30 a.m. in San Francisco right now.
Wow.
And she's texting me on WhatsApp, and I said, well, just join us on Zoom. You can just join us with audio. And she's like, my partner is sleeping next to me. I can't talk. Right? Questions are coming in through WhatsApp. So we have 3 questions. So Caitlin will watch the replay, of course. So I have to introduce Caitlin first and say that Caitlin is a thought leader. She teaches at Stanford, and she teaches metaverse fluency and other things as well. But metaverse fluency is definitely one of her main focuses. And she, oh my God, I could talk so much about Caitlin. So, okay. So I know that we are nearly at time. We only have 5 minutes. So I get to that. Caitlin organizes a lot of events and retreats and so on. A lot of events are in the metaverse, of course, because she's a metaverse expert. So she has a few questions. I'm going to read all 3 of them because I know that we don't have a lot of time. So let's see. When you want to be a future-driven oriented brand, yet and have mass appeal, what are the strategies, practicals? So this is the course question, she says. Then, let me see. Okay. how to get buy-in when what you're designing is future forward and you want traditionalists to also like it. Does that make sense? Let me see. Okay, it's basically about being a rebel with experience design. Okay, so she designs experiences, let's say mostly today, mostly in the metaverse, right? And I think that the metaverse is very future forward, she says. So how can you appeal also to traditionalists? I think is the main angle. Then I think there are more than one angles, but should we take that one? What do you think?
Sure. I mean, listen, metaverse, that's not my area of expertise, but I can say that what comes to mind for me is I think there are many, many people that are very interested in the metaverse, in forward future technologies, right? So my first thought is to focus on the people that want that are up for that are super excited for that, as opposed to trying to focus on converting people who are not. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And again, like metaverse is not really my area of expertise.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also that basically Caitlin can just follow the 3 pillars that you presented to us a few minutes ago. I think that is applicable also to events in the not only offline and online, but also to the metaverse particularly. What do you think?
Yeah,
these are universal.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are applicable in nearly every circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay. So Caitlin, probably you're watching the replay. I hope this serves you. Otherwise, let us know maybe in the comments. Tanya, are you going to be reading the comments maybe the next few days? The comments to this particular.
Of course. Yeah, I'm happy to, if anybody is watching the replay and has any questions about events and experiences, I'm happy to. Ooh, there's the echo again.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No worries.
What's going on?
It seems to go away after a moment. Yeah, of course. I'm super happy to answer any questions in the thread. I'll keep an eye on it and just feel free to tag me as well if I miss anything. But yeah, I'm super happy to answer any questions. This is what I love to talk about.
Yes, exactly. You're a thought leader around experience design and many other things, of course, but this is one of the main focuses, I would say. This is so cool. Thank you so much, Tanya. And Tanya, when you have, I know that you have to go now, but when you have time later today, would it be possible for you maybe to also include your links in the comments so we can find you? Like everything you want to share, share.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just say it. So I'm really great on Instagram, super responsive there. Always love to connect. If anybody is on there and wants to send me a message, my handle there is Tanya Christina. And my website is tanyalopez.com. And I will also drop the links in the thread.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. Awesome. Yes. So I would say that we go now. It's already time. And this has been so much value. Now let's digest everything and internalize and then reach out to Tanya for more.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jessica, for having me.
Thanks
Good to meet you, Chris. And yeah, anyone
Bye.
in the replay as well. Caitlin, for your question.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tanya. Come back soon to our show.
I will. I'd love to. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.